So now it's my pleasure to introduce our guest this evening. Abbi Jacobson is the co-creator and star of Comedy Central's hit series Broad City, which just wrapped its 5th season. You can clap. Just wrapped its 5th and final season. Recently, she can be seen starring opposite Dave Franco in Six Balloons, a dark, dramatic feature for Netflix, which premiered at South by Southwest in 2018. Previously, Abbi starred in the film Person to Person opposite Michael Cera, which premiered at Sundance in 2017 and released her first illustrated book, Carry This Book, which was a New York Times bestseller. And most recently, her book, I Might Regret This, Essays, Drawings, Vulnerabilities, and Other Stuff. She is also voicing the female lead in Matt Groening's new animated Netflix series, Disenchanted. Roxane Gay's writing appears in Best American Non-Required Reading 2018, Best American Mystery Stories 2014, Best American Short Stories 2012, Best Sex Writing 2012, Harper's Bazaar, A Public Space, McSweeney's, Tin House, Oxford American, American Short Fiction. I'm not done. Virginia Quarterly Review, and many others. She is a contributing opinion writer for the New York Times. She is the author of the books Haiti, An Untamed State, and the New York Times bestselling Bad Feminist, the nationally bestselling Difficult Women, and the New York Times bestselling Hunger, a memoir of my body. She is also the author of World of Wakanda for Marvel and editor of Best American Short Stories 2018. She is currently at work on film and television projects, which is part of why she loves living here in LA, and a book of writing advice, an essay collection about television and culture, and a YA novel entitled The Year I Learned Everything. In 2018, she won a Guggenheim Fellowship. Everyone, let's welcome to the stage Roxane Gay and Abbi Jacobson.
Hello.
Hi, guys. Dueling stand-up.
You go first.
Okay. This is cool. What an interesting tube room.
The tubes are... So as I walked in, I just thought, it's Lost. The compound on Lost. Or...
The maze of the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 60s acid dream.
Yes.
I'm into it. I'm feeling it.
So we just met.
We did.
It's going well.
I think so. I think so. As such things do when you meet and then are having to go on stage in 10 minutes.
I was nervous today, though, because usually when I do a conversation with someone, it's like I'm asking them about like a specific thing.
Yes.
Or they're asking me about a specific thing.
Yes. In promotion of.
Yes, in promotion.
Yes.
We're not promoting a thing.
Not one.
It's all out already. You've all hopefully already consumed all our shit. I don't know what to say.
The other day someone said, so when is your next book coming out? And I'm like, man, I don't know. I'm taking a break. Relax.
I have a question about that, because I'm new to the book, the essayist arena. I can't do that again for a long fucking time.
Yeah.
So like, are people pressuring you constantly?
Yeah, I think that genre novelists really ruin it for the rest of us because many of them can and do pump out a book a year. But when you write a book a year, you aren't writing a good book every year.
Right.
And I have this weird habit about wanting to put good work into the world.
That makes sense. I think it makes sense.
Which is really pesky, there's nothing wrong with genre work. I mean, they're the ones making the money, so like, good for them. But I think it makes people have an unrealistic expectation of what writers can do and in how long. And when you're writing about bigotry and social justice and bodies and sexual violence, I have a good therapist, but it's still it still takes a lot out of you, and it takes time to find the strength to do it over and over again, and then tour that book where people think they know you and then ask deeply personal questions or tell you about the worst day of their life. And I'm really honored that people trust me with their stories, but it's also really hard to carry those stories in addition to my own. So yeah, it takes time to write these books.
You need to like rebuild.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also have something to say.
You know, Alana, who I did Broad City with, and I have talked about you a lot, and I don't know what.
Go on.
We're talking shit all the time. Roxane, this, what is she doing? Okay.
She's the worst. Oh.
That'd be like, what would we be even saying? Can you believe her? Like, there's nothing. No, because, you know, in a totally different way, like, we had nothing to write about but our own experiences. And I don't know where it was, but you wrote somewhere about, we talk about how you were writing about how you feel like you have to sacrifice so much of yourself for your material. And like women mostly end up doing that, where you're just that's all we have. You're just giving of yourself. And I feel like that's all I got, you know? And it is like, well, fuck, I do need a sack.
Yeah.
So like I need to live a little bit more.
Yeah, to get more material.
Yeah.
But, you know, one of the things I'm trying to do now is to write less from my life and more from knowledge.
Yes.
And beyond myself. And it's fun, actually, and refreshing because I'm much less attached to the material. And the distance is really, I think, very healthy. And I'm enjoying that distance, especially because I'm often telling my students that you don't have to cannibalize yourself to have something worth saying. And oftentimes women, people of color, queer people, disabled writers, we're all expected like to only write about personal experience, as if that's the only thing we have of value, and that our suffering is the only narrative that we have of value. And so when we're joyful, people get really fucking confused.
How dare you?
I mean, I've been really happy lately, and some people are really pissed about it. And I'm like, I don't know, I'm getting laid. I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. It's a lot. But
yeah, maybe that's my problem. I'm kidding.
How did you know that it was time to end Broad City?
I
know. We can pour one out for Broad City.
I think it was that. It was so, you know, we'd been doing it since 2009. The web series, it was like 10 years. And I'm 5 years older than the character, so is Alana. And we're writing from this like 25-year-old place. And we wanted to end it before like it felt like it shouldn't be on anymore. Like I feel like sometimes shows, like, what's going on? Like a show in its like 8th season, I'm like, what are you doing? Like, this should make the next show. Like, I want to see you start again and like really kill. Like, I just think you want a show to end when you want it still. When you're like, oh, wait, you know, like rather than like, bye-bye. And we really wanted it to end the way it ended and have it like come to a close while being still kind of hopeful. And it was tough though. I mean, it hasn't even been a year, and I'm like, it's weird not to. I'd be like going back.
Yeah. Do you know what your next show is?
I do. Yeah, I'm like really in it right now. So I'm doing a pilot only. So we'll see, you know, what they do with it in Hollywood now that I'm out in LA. So I'm doing a reincarnation for TV of A League of Their Own.
Oh, wow.
Okay, good reaction. All right.
This is a lesbian content we came here for.
It is. It is. That's what you said at the door. You're like, I'm here for the lesbian content. But isn't it interesting that film is such like a gay film, and yet no one in the movie is gay?
Well, when the husbands are at war.
Well, I was approached by a friend, Will Graham, to do this, and he was like, do you want to do this with me? And I was like, you know, yeah, but I'm not like trying to make like a white ensemble show. which was what the 92 version of this film was.
Yes.
And
well, there was that moment when the black woman triumphantly threw the ball, and like everyone nodded. Mm-hmm.
No, she was
equality.
She was like, like unspoken, like you're
black
good.
people can throw.
So you're gonna like the show.
Excellent.
So the show is really focused on, believe it or not, like 75% of the lead group was gay or queer in general.
Excellent.
And we've talked to a lot of the real players, which is incredible. They're like in their 90s. And no non-white women were even allowed to try out, which was that weird scene, acknowledgement, which was like a non-acknowledgement. And so the show it's a comedy, but it's tackling some real shit. I'm feeling a little bit of pressure with this one, but I feel really good about it.
Why are you feeling pressure?
It's just a lot of people's real stories.
Yeah.
And so while I'm infusing my experience in there a little, which is someone who's like sort of come into queerness a little bit later in life, there's a lot of real people that didn't get to tell this story, and it was a big secret, there's just a lot of nuance that is not told in this film at all, and it's also people's favorite fucking movie, and they're like, why are you fucking with my movie? And we are fucking with that movie.
Good. I mean, Hollywood has fucked with literally every other movie, so maybe a good one.
Yeah, I hope it's so. We'll see. Wait, so can you say what your, like, it was just said TV and film projects?
Oh, yeah, vague. No, I can.
You can?
Yeah. I mean, once a show fails, you can totally talk about it. I know. It's good. It's actually been really healthy for me to face the constant and unending rejection of Hollywood. So I sold the pilot to Amazon.
Woo!
And I wrote it. And then they bought a pilot in the exact same story from someone else and went with that one. But that's okay because we're taking it back out. So it lives again. And so it's called Grown Women. And I write about it in Bad Feminist. So I actually did end up making that show about 4 women who are working at a college campus. 2 of them are professors, or 3 of them. 1 is an adjunct, 2 are tenure track. And it's not that boring. There's a lot of sex and a lot of
tenure track.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
You know, well, when a woman loves a subject, really.
It's like glasses off. Tenure track.
Dun, da, da, da. And so it's set on a college campus, and hijinks ensue. There's a lot of drinking and a lot of sex, and it's moderately funny. So we'll see. And I'm working on. There's one project I can't say. I'm adapting another writer's memoir into a TV series. And then I'm adapting this documentary into a TV series. It turns out I'm better at adapting other people's work, which is fine. And I'm writing Hunger as a movie for...
Wow.
For a television network coming to you.
How are you doing? Okay, so that's a lot.
It is.
The script writing process, even though you've been doing it a couple years now, how is that transition? Like, do you love it? Do you hate it? Is it like freeing?
I love it. I find it a lot easier than book writing. Book writing, I enjoy, and it's not fraught for me, but it's still hard and it's a lot of work, and script writing is much, much faster. And what I'm having a challenge with is writing funny on the page. I feel like I can be very funny in person, but translating that onto the page in ways that are going to translate for multiple audiences is... there's a learning curve there, but I enjoy challenges, so yeah, I'm enjoying it.
When you're writing, do you envision who you're writing for?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes I just have no idea.
Yeah.
Because for Grown Women, for example, I wanted it to be a fat black woman in the lead, but there are like 3 in Hollywood, and they're working right now. So it's just like, Nicole Byer, please love me. You're incredible.
She's great.
I wrote the show thinking of Nicole Byer, and yeah, she doesn't know that, but you guys do. Let's keep it a secret.
Are you kidding? She would fucking die to know that.
Oh, well,
Not die.
now she's
like,
gonna
she would
know.
love it.
But yeah. So sometimes I do, especially because I think she's just so beautiful.
She is.
And so funny. And I just thought, oh, like every time I see my main character delivering a line, I see her and nailed it. But beyond that, I just feel like that's just barely scratching the surface of what she can do.
Right.
I've seen her stand up, of course, and I've seen her do some stage shows. And yeah, so sometimes I do. And then sometimes I write it and then wait to see what's going to happen and who someone else, the creative team I'm working with and collaborating with suggests, because I am really good, surprisingly enough, about staying in my lane. And like there are lots of things I don't know, and casting is certainly one of them. And so I'm actually not as a control freak as you might expect in terms of like who people have for ideas for casting. I generally trust my collaborators to know who would work well with the material.
It's a really interesting process. Like I haven't done casting in a very long time, and for Broad City, we cast most people that we knew. And I'm in it right now for League of Their Own, and it's someone that I'm like, that's it, that's her, that's who I wrote for. And then she comes in, and I'm like, that's not her. Like, she's not doing it like I thought she would do it. And so, and then someone will come in that you've never even heard of, and you're like, who the fuck are you? It's cool business, you know? It's cool business you guys got out here.
It's interesting, like I also wrote An Untamed State and into a film, and it was bought by Fox Searchlight. But then Disney bought Fox, and they were like, could you take the kidnapping out? So, no, I can't. But when I did that, the director that I co-wrote it with said, I think Gugu Mbatha Raw is the lead. And that was one of those instances where when that person was introduced to me as the character, I saw it. And I just knew, yes, she's the one. And she's definitely stuck with the project, and now we're taking it out again. And I look at that, and I love that Gina Prince Bythewood is the director, and that she had that vision to see who Mireille, the protagonist, was. Because when I was asked, I was just like, Beyonce? And everyone was like,
Just let her,
Haters.
just send it to her. Just send it to her.
Can she just take a look? I saw Dreamgirls. When she sings Listen, I felt it. So haters want to hate, but I feel like my girl can act.
So this is I can't, just in my process, like I feel like I'm doing a couple different things, but I don't necessarily take on this many actual scripts or writing projects. How do you, because I'm just very interested in other creators' process and like time management and like.
I wish I had a good answer for you. I even know what your question is. How do I balance it all?
There really wasn't. It's just sort of like, I work really well like under pressure. Where I'm like, I'm gonna fucking knock it out. Like, are you truly like, I'm working on this, and then I'm gonna go over here, and then or is it just like pressure that gets this done? Then
I need a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Like you need to literally put a knife to my throat and say, I'm gonna cut, and then you have to like cut a little bit. And just draw a little blood so that I can feel this impetus to start working. I take on too much, and a part of it is, as a writer, you never think you're going to get your shot. And so when you start to get opportunities, you work from a mentality of lack, and that you're never going to get another opportunity. And so every single day I think, I'm never going to get another opportunity, so let me get one, let me take advantage of this now. 20 missed deadlines later, perhaps it's not the best strategy. So I'm trying to get better about saying no.
Right.
And making it clear, like, if you want me for this project, here is realistically when I can get to it, which right now is like 2021, which sounds wild, but also it's accurate. And I'm also trying to recommend other writers that I know, because people have like one name in their Rolodex, but there are literally hundreds of Black women out here writing and doing so very, very well. And so I try to give 5 names for every opportunity, and then I email them and tell them what I was offered in terms of pay, so that they will not get screwed over. because people will always try and get one over. And it's horrible. Capitalism is evil.
It is.
Can you work on multiple projects at the same time?
I have to. I feel like, remember in high school, where there was like block scheduling? I was like, that's what I feel like my day is.
Oh.
It's never really, I feel very unorganized, but somehow it's like, it's happening, like everything is getting done, but I'm sort of all over the place, and I feel like I work best, I'm like sort of like calmer in chaos. That makes sense? So I have to take on a lot of things so that the busier I am, the more productive I am.
Yeah, same. If I have very little to do, then I get very little done.
Yes.
But the more I take on, the more productive, because then I get desperate. And I just think, oh my God, I can't piss off one more person today. I just can't handle it. And so then I really get to work.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree. Is there something you're not doing that you're like, man, this?
Sleeping.
I totally meant like project, but
Well,
sleeping
that is a good project.
That is a good project.
No, what is there something? You know, the thing I'm not doing that I actually want to do is work on my book projects. I really love the ideas and the projects that I have, and I just wish I could go away for 4 weeks and not have internet-ish, and just be able to write.
Right.
And not have to worry about any other deadlines, not have to record the podcast, just literally just work on my books. A retreat, if you will.
Right.
But it just doesn't seem possible right now for a number of reasons, but yeah, I wish it was.
Are you someone, like, say you were to go, when you go on this retreat, which you will.
Yes, let's manifest it.
Do you enjoy like sitting
I do.
and you like love the act of writing?
I do. I actually love writing. For many years, I think it has been self-medication, in addition to antidepressants. But it makes me more even-keeled. It helps me stay sane to write. And I get a genuine sense of pleasure from writing. I'm not a tortured writer at all. Certainly there are torturous days of writing. It's not all fairy tales, but I love it. I just love telling stories and creating, and like right now I'm working on this book called How to Be Heard, which is mostly writing advice on how to use your voice to hopefully create change in a world where we are in desperate need of change. And it's really exciting to look back at the past 10, 15 years and the lessons I've learned, which have been many, and to think about which lessons might be relevant to people and to write about them. And so it's been very satisfying when I have the chance to work on it.
I want that early copy.
Yeah, I will give you one. It'll be out in 2021. They want to release it next year, but let's be real. Nobody's going to be reading anything next year. No, I feel real bad for everyone with a book out. I put all my books on hold until 2021. I was just like,
Right.
Nobody's going to read anything next year. It's just going to be a shit show from January until November, and then an even bigger shit show when Trump is reelected. So, I know. I'm sorry. But he did have a heart attack today. Yeah.
Wait. I missed. Hold on.
Oh, yeah.
What?
He was rushed to the hospital, and rumor has it he had stents put in because he had a heart attack.
I missed the news cycle today. For real?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Why are we here? What are we doing? Why are we not fucking...
Well,
Wait,
the White
I
House
missed
is
this
already
whole-
lying about the story and saying that it was no big deal, but...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
It's not what I thought was going to happen
Wait
for
to
him.
get on those
but-
phones until after we're done. Speaking of social media, this is the thing I want to ask you, because I am like, I feel like I am like a social media like cutter, where I will find someone who hates me. Like I'll look around and like I can't take in any positivity, and I'll just take in that one asshole, and then that will be my entire being.
Yeah.
But you like talk to them.
I do. It's my worst. It's my worst habit.
How do
It's
you?
really bad.
How do you do that? Like I would never. I would be like, they don't. I couldn't.
Yeah. My fiance hates it. She absolutely hates it. Every day she's like, "Really? You have nothing better to do today?" And then she'll remind me of my deadlines. It's like,
Do you find it like? Is it like I'm like? It's just like fuck you. You don't get the.
it's really, it's. This is gonna sound so cheesy, but it's the truth. I was really picked on in K through 12, and I was just nerdy, and I wore bifocals, which I still do, and I just always got my ass kicked, and I was just always the loser, and I didn't ever say anything. I never stood up for myself. And so now I can. Mm-hmm. In my head, I still have 200 followers on Twitter. I know theoretically I don't, or in actuality I don't. But in my head, nobody's looking. It's just me pushing back and saying, you don't get to call me a fat bitch. I mean, that's the truth, but it's a descriptor, not an insult. And so how dare you? And so many of the trolls are just so breathtakingly cruel that I think it's important for people to see like the level of harassment that Black queer women are receiving online, because it is not the same as the trolling that other people get online. And it really does change you after a while to like, it's just constant, and it's every single day, and it's every hour of every day. And you can of course not go on social media, but they also email, and they try to get at me through my family. They call my parents' house. So it's just, because it's just terrible.
Well, you're right. I'm not trolled in the same way, and if when you writing back does allow everyone to see it, and it is like what the like that is part of humanity that exists.
Yeah. They're very energetic, and it's not all noble. Like in addition to bringing attention to it, it's relaxing. It's relaxing to be able to just kick back and finally be in a position of power for the first time in my life. And you know, you always think that you're going to be really good and noble when you get a little bit of power. And I think I'm 90% good and noble, and 10% incredibly petty.
But I think it's all in. You're never attacking first. It's always in like, right?
Yeah. No.
No. It's usually it's all like in defense.
It is. I don't actually go out looking for people to pick on, because I have 5 jobs. It really is when you come to my doorstep with nonsense and say really horrible things to me, I'm not just going to let it go. And I wish I was a better person to let it go, but I'm not. And so here we are. And
well, no, now this makes sense to me. I'm like, fucking go after them.
It feels so good too. I highly recommend it. If you're just looking for a little something to let the pressure out, it's just really, really good. But people tend to, I don't know, I think people misunderstand the why behind it oftentimes, and they're like, oh, don't feed the trolls, as if that's gonna magically make trolls go away. They're not gonna stop. They're feeding themselves. And so whether I respond or not, I've got time. I do. Do you enjoy social media?
No.
Me neither. I did, but not anymore.
I recently got this. It's sitting on my kitchen counter. I got this this phone from an Indiegogo. You know how you can like support a new invention or whatever. So there's this phone called the Light 2. And there's no apps
on it.
You guys all know about it? You all know about the Light 2? I got it in the mail like this week. I have not taken the time to like go, so it connects to like your phone, because I still want to be able to like get a lift if I'm like, you know, I will be like stuck, you know? And or like just, I want it to be connected in case. But I don't even have Twitter on my phone anymore.
I deleted Twitter on my phone this weekend.
Wow.
I know.
It is a big move. Also, I'm not on Facebook. I haven't been on Facebook for fucking years. I say everyone get the fuck off Facebook.
Oh, for sure. My assistant does my Facebook.
I'm like, forget it. But I am on Instagram, and I do things where I like post I don't post that much, but then I'll post like a very vulnerable thing and then delete it, because I'm like, no. Why did I do that? Mm-hmm. This is me. Like, I want to be like selective of like, what am I doing? Who am I doing this for? it's a wild ride, social media. But also, I would not have a career without it. I had a web series on YouTube that we shared on Facebook, and that is how I have a career. So I just did say fuck Facebook, and I'm gonna stand by it actually. But it was like how I did my thing. So it's just I don't like the negativity.
Yeah, it's challenging. I love Instagram. And I'm really a late adopter of Instagram. I didn't know I had Instagram followers. I made an account just because I teach in college and I wanted to know what the youths were talking about. And then one day someone was like, why don't you post on Instagram? You have 110,000 followers. And I was like, what? And turns out I have a whole bunch of followers on Instagram. And so they're just waiting for me to post a picture of my dinner. And I am more than happy to oblige. Why, yes, here is what I had for dinner. And so I enjoy Instagram because it's less back and forth. I don't enjoy the conversation anymore because it's always fraught, and it doesn't matter what you do, someone is just waiting for you to fuck up, and then they tell you how they really feel about you, and I just wish more people had the courage to just say I hate you without an excuse. So it just gets very negative, and then I get very unhappy, and Debbie, my partner, is always like, Roxane, anytime you look at Twitter, you're unhappy. Stop going on Twitter. Because she doesn't really live on the internet at all, and I can't relate. Just why are you not looking? Don't you know what happened on Twitter today? And she's like, no, I was at work. Because she has a real job.
She doesn't know about the heart attack.
No, she doesn't. But she will tonight, because I'm going to tell her all about it. But it's challenging, and I find myself, I don't like when I sort of succumb to some of the darkness of especially Twitter. Some of the other social media is fine, but when I find myself just thinking, oh, whatever, it's the Wild West now, let's just all give in, that's not who I am in my day-to-day life. And so I find myself increasingly just pulling away because when it starts to change my personality and starts to make me do things that I don't like and I'm not proud of, then I know, okay, this is not great.
Yeah. I often think about I would never go on someone's Instagram or Twitter and write anything like I fucking hate you, or I would never, I don't even feel that way about anybody. And if I didn't like a show or a film, which I don't, there's a ton of them I don't like, I would never go on a photo they posted of them on vacation and being like,
your show
fuck
sucks.
your show. What kind of maniacs are floating around? And I'm like, are they here tonight? The anonymity of the internet is scary. And I'm also just they're not even anonymous. They're there with because I've been like, well, let me just check out your page, Mr. Man. And I'm like, you're a normal dude.
Well,
you are a dude with a dog.
A stretch.
But just they're living and they're like, I love my, they like their things. What do you get from that? It's, I don't even have the right word for it.
Yeah, I think it was on This American Life, Lindy West met with one of her trolls. And I'm not that good of a person. I don't want to meet my troll. I actually don't care what his deal is, that he's feeling impotent in his own life. That's something he should work out with therapy and maybe God. But it was really interesting to hear that he was just going through something. And I think the anonymity or the perception of anonymity and the distance of computer screens or phone screens makes people think, oh, there's no one on the other end that's really going to experience any repercussions, so I can just spew all of this distaste into the void. I think that's got to be part of it. And I think that's a lot of anger that people don't know what to do with and that they cannot release in their day-to-day lives. And so they just do it on Twitter at targets that seem convenient, that they think that no one's going to protect: fat women, black women, queer people, people that stand up for something, and then people feel persecuted because they're being told to be better, and so then they try to tear you down. It's this really, I don't know, there's a lot happening there.
You mentioned therapy earlier.
I did.
Do you
I love
think
her.
I feel like none of those people go to therapy.
I think that's accurate. And I think it also speaks to the reality that for most people, therapy is a luxury.
It's such a luxury.
When I look at my therapy bill every month, it's staggering. And my therapist recently was like, you should start going twice a week. And I was just like, so which kidney should I get rid of to make that happen? Mm-hmm. I'm still just a writer. I write about feminism, manage those expectations.
I have been in that situation too, where I'm like, you want me to what? You make so much fucking money.
And she doesn't take any insurance because she doesn't want to deal with the billing.
Yeah. You don't want to deal with the billing.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people do have a lot of unresolved emotional issues because they cannot access these very basic services that should be a human right. So I think that's one of the problems. And
so
I
lack
wish
of
everyone could go.
communication in everyday life, which I'm working on in therapy. But I think that the trolls are clearly not dealing with like their own shit. They're not communicating with their world, so they're throwing it at other people.
I think that's definitely part of it. And I don't know, I've been thinking about this quite a lot lately, just because so many people seem so disproportionately angry, and the things that they get disproportionately angry at are not that big a deal. And I always think, oh. And then when I find myself getting disproportionately heated at something, that when I step back, like the other day I had this kerfuffle online that was really bad. But it was so disproportionately blown out by people who were just waiting. And I was talking about it with Debbie, and she was just like, what are you talking about? Anytime I explain a Twitter thing to her, I sound crazy.
It's like a new feeling that didn't exist before the internet, where you can't, it's like a new emotion where it stays and you're like, no, like, it's just like terrible.
Yeah, and it feels like in the immediate online, it feels like it's the most pressing and urgent and desperate concern that has ever happened. Well, when I was a kid, it was that babies were starving in Africa, and they still are. And so you then remember that the rest of the world exists, and that this little kerfuffle is, in the grand scheme of things, not a big deal. But for perspective, I always just try to explain it to Debbie or my parents. And when I explain it to my parents, they're like, okay, Roxane, I don't have time for this, okay? And then I just move on, and then I realize, no, I have to go and get some sun.
Are you very close with your parents?
I am very close with my parents, yes.
That's nice.
Are you?
I am. I don't tell them about like major emotional events.
Oh, we don't talk about feelings.
Hilarious.
We're Catholic.
You're like, we're super close.
No.
We're so close.
Well, we are, but
we're not talking about like
Haitian
feelings.
parents don't like every time I go to therapy, sometimes we're talking on the phone and I'm like, oh, I have to go to therapy, and my mom is like very upset and don't talk about me, okay?
And you're like, no.
That's exactly
why
what
would
I'm
I ever
talking
talk about you in therapy?
But they, they're fun, and they are they follow me on Twitter, and so I get little reports of my behavior every day. So if you think there are no checks and balances here, I assure you there are.
Do they interact?
No, I refuse to let them interact because I'm very protective of them. Right. So they share an account. It's really cute. They share an account, and I locked it. My dad doesn't know it's locked, so he responds to people, but they can't see him.
But I'm sure he's gonna watch whatever this is being recorded for, so he's gonna find out.
And so he's just responding into the void, defending me, and I'm always really touched, but nobody can see it because people are really cruel, and I would just lose my shit if they did anything to him.
That is so sweet.
Yeah.
Day in and day out, he's
just there, and he is like a keyboard warrior.
The silent guard.
And he's like, did you read what she said? That's not what she said. And I'm like, yes, Dad, you tell him. But it's just him and me. So it's a lot of fun. And then my mom tells me how many curse words I said on Twitter that day. And she's like, Roxane, enough with the 4-letter words. You have a vocabulary. So.
That's really, really cute.
Yeah, they're fun. I talk to them every day. I know.
That's nice.
Haitian parents never, ever, ever let go. I'm really grateful, and especially now, my mom is sick, and so I don't take a single day with them for granted, but it's a lot of closeness.
No, but that is every time I remember my parents are getting older, I'm like, what am I doing?
Same. Like
what am
anytime
I
I even feel like, they're driving me crazy, I have so many friends who have lost one or both parents who tell me, treasure every moment. And so I always try to remind myself of that because you just never know. And I don't want to take a single moment for granted because I don't want to regret in 20 or 30 years that I did not take advantage of this time when we could actually be friends.
Yeah.
And it feels like they're from friends now. We get along. I can tell them about what I'm doing. They understand my work now that they can go to Barnes & Noble. It took a long time. They did not get it at all. But now that they can, they get it.
Do you feel like through your work, because you just said, and I relate to this where I don't necessarily share my feelings, but through my work, I'm like, hey guys, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Do you feel that? Like it's sort of
for sure.
You know me way better through my writing than maybe I would.
After they did not read Hunger, I told them not to, and they finally listened after 4 books of me telling them not to read it. But I explained why I didn't want them to read it. I told them what was in it, and I also told them that they could go to church on Sunday and no one was going to be ashamed or turn their backs on them. But after they read Bad Feminist, they understood me for I think the first time in my life.
Wow.
And we were able to have conversations about, why I did not talk about I was assaulted when I was 12 and I never told them. And so we were able to talk about that, and it clarified for them why I changed drastically and so quickly. And they had regrets about, we would have fought for you. What were you thinking? But I was I was 12. And so it's really helped. Mm-hmm. And when they want to know something about me, they say that they go read an essay that I've published. And I'm like, accurate.
Yeah, wow. What else do I want to ask you?
Yeah, I don't know. What do I want to ask you?
Ooh.
Yeah,
okay.
That's a good idea.
Wow, okay.
Lisa, do you have questions for us?
I do.
Nice.
Ooh.
I saw the... Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is this working? Okay. All right. All right, first question. This is one, you can both answer this. What are you reading right now?
I'm reading David Carr's The Night of the Gun. It's a memoir.
I'm reading Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo. It's amazing. It won the Man Booker it co-won the Man Booker, those fuckers. But she absolutely deserved the prize to herself. It's one of the best books I've read this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I highly, highly recommend it. It just was released here in the States, I think a couple weeks ago. It's called Girl, Woman, Other by Bernardine Evaristo.
Cool. I'm blowing through The Witches Are Coming by Lindy West, which just...
So
how
good.
is it?
So good.
Excellent.
It's great.
The first chapter, it's basically a series of essays, and yeah.
There's can I say, there's a chapter all about, my jaw was on the ground. She basically just goes through Adam Sandler's films and the plot.
The title of the chapter
plot
is
of the films, and I'm just that was a real movie.
Yeah, the title.
That did extraordinarily in the box. We all loved it, or it just blew my mind. I was like, this is insane.
The title of that chapter is Adam Sandler funny?
It comes around, and it
Though I will say, Happy Gilmore. I love Happy Gilmore. I actually like Adam Sandler's movies. Not the Netflix
but
movies.
so does Lindy on some
Yeah.
level. So which is why she approaches it.
Listen, in 7th grade, I did a performance of Lunch Lady. Now that's a deep cut. That's his audio-only CD album. You guys remember Lunch Ladyland? So I was like get her book. Yeah, Sloppy Joe. Yep, you got it.
You know, I don't think there's a week that goes by when I don't say, I love you, Billy Madison.
But really, that chapter, you'll be surprised at what he's put out into the world.
It's definitely I have it. It's on my to-read stack.
Awesome. Okay, you can each take this one as well. Do you have any rules that you live by?
Oh.
I make my bed. No, but like I truly like am a little bit like I gotta like if I walk back in, I'm like
Every day.
I like it. Yeah, like I like it to be like sometimes it's better than others, but like that. And like I guess I do ultimately try to treat others like I would want to be treated. So it's a bed and how do I overall how I would like to be treated. There's a couple others in there I'll think about while you're going.
I don't make the bed unless my partner is around. And I started making the bed when we first started dating. Now she thinks I make the bed. And I sure don't. So, I think I do try to be as good a person as I can be, as often as I can, just because so many people have been good to me that I want to just reflect that back. But I also try to spoil the people I love because you can't take it with you. And not only money, but affection. Like, you can't hoard it. And so I try to be as generous as possible with the people in my life so that they always know how I feel about them. I don't want there to be any questions should lightning strike tonight.
That's a really good one. Wait, I have one more. So, wait, what was it? It was really good. I had it. But then I got thinking about yours. That was a really good one. Man, it was about work. It's a new one. So now my rule is everything I do, one has to either be challenging in some way for me. Like I have to be a little scared of it. And I have to feel like I'm being very honest in a certain way.
Oh, that's a good rule. I need to develop some rules around work just because I say yes to everything and I want to be passionate about everything I'm doing, and that's not always the case. For like smaller writing assignments where people are like, will you write about this feminism thing? Okay.
Feminism.
I mean, well, just when it's that broad, when it's not like applied in a sort of, let's move to like feminism 301.
Yes.
Yeah, see,
like we're all
ready. It's time for the
girl
revolution.
back there.
All right, do either of you have a teacher who changed your life in some way?
I do. Rex McGuinn. He was my sophomore high school writing teacher. And back then I would write the same story over and over again about a girl who was assaulted in a really horrible way. And he noticed something was wrong and took me to the counseling center at my high school. I went to boarding school. And so instead of trying to fix me himself or be creepy and inappropriate, he saw that I needed help and took me to get help. And then he also told me I was a good writer and that I should write every day. At the time, I thought this was really precious advice that no one else in the world had received. And now I know it's just like the most common writing advice ever. But he believed in me and he nurtured me that whole year as a writer and for the rest of my high school career. And he always asked, is everything okay? But never asked me to divulge to him what had happened. And he was the first man I was able to trust after I had been assaulted, other than my dad. And I'm never gonna not be grateful for him.
What was his name again?
Rex McGuinn.
Rex McGuinn. That's a good teacher.
Yeah, he was an amazing teacher, and he and his wife both taught at my school, and she was wildly inappropriate, and she would be like, yeah, Rex is shooting blanks. And we didn't know what it meant. And then later, I figured out what it meant, and I was like,
are you still in touch with him, Roxane?
Unfortunately, he was a runner, and he died while running at 48. He was really young. But I'm in touch with his wife, and I give money to the school in his name every year.
Wow.
Wonderful.
I had this trio, in 8th grade, I had this trio of teachers. Susie Gleason, Mindy Haas, and Murray Mullins. And the two women were really young teachers, and Murray was like an older guy. And they were like you're like grouped in, like they're your like you only have those 3 teachers really, and I don't even know what they taught. I don't know what subjects they taught, but it was the first time that I was student council representative for my homeroom.
Ooh.
So you would go to student council meetings, and then I was the one that would come back and be like, this is what's going on in school, And it was the first time that I was funny and I really honed being funny was in Miss Gleason's homeroom. I did the reporting as Linda Richman, Coffee Talk.
Oh, yeah.
So I would be like, I wonder if I can still do it. I'd be like, this week in school, the dance is on Friday. Get there early for snack, whatever it was. And I was like in 8th grade, and I think they were it turned into like all the homerooms came in, and it was just like they let me just do it. And that whole year, every month, I would do this like performance in the morning about like the vending machines and like whatever. And it was the first time I got the laughs and knew how. I was like, I can do this. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Okay. Morning routines. Go.
I wish I had a routine. My life is just different every single day because I travel so much. Oh, man, my morning routine is horrible, and I'm working on it because I've been told it's annoying. But my morning routine is to look at my phone and see what happened on the internet in the 6 hours since I last looked. And so I'm trying to break myself of that. So now my morning routine is to read a book and just not pick up an electronic device for at least an hour. And then I work out, and then my day starts with meetings or interviews or whatever, and then it's unfortunately nonstop until I literally stop and fall over.
Wow, I don't know if I could read a book that early.
Oh, I love it. It's so relaxing because then the world just disappears, and reading is still just my first love, so it's good.
Wow. Mine is a little bit of the same where every day is a little bit different right now, but since I've been out here, I still go back and forth to New York, but I have a dog now. And so it's like, I wake up at 7:15, and I'm like, let's go outside. And I have a little patio, and it's me what about over here? Why don't you go over here? Nope, why don't you walk over here? Look at this. Sometimes I have to go over and pretend like I'm looking at a lime. I'm looking at the lime on the tree so as to that will get him to pee on his own. Truly, I've been late for meetings, and I'm doing baseball training right now for the show, not just, I said this to someone else and they were like, interesting hobby. And I was like, no, it's sort of thing. And so I have to learn how to play, and it starts at 7. And I'm like,
a.m.?
7 a.m. And I'm like, pee, bitch. I'm like, please pee, because then I have to leave him. Mm-hmm. That's it. That's my morning. And I have a Chemex. That's a really not the most efficient early morning coffee maker, but so that's the pour. I like to do the pour over. Yeah, that's it. Really, I make the bed. Make that bed. Really wild mornings.
Okay, one last question. If you were to bring together 2 great humans to talk like you both did tonight, who would you bring? If you got to choose the next 2 people.
They have to be alive.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Most of those questions are usually dead or alive. Okay.
Oh, man. Oh, boy. Beyonce.
Who would she be great in conversation with?
That's the thing. Me. Obviously.
Well, from here on out, it's just you with someone else, right?
Yes. But you know what? I'm actually going to say, and this is cheating a little bit, but Debbie Millman is the best interviewer I know. So I would say Debbie Millman and Beyonce, because Debbie does this incredible, days and days of research for her interviews. It's exhausting to watch. But then she interviews someone and pulls out like these deep cuts. In 1979, you tripped. What was that like? And it's just so incredible to hear what she can pull out of people. And Beyonce is so guarded and is always controlling the interview, which I get why, because she was totally talked about and interviewed in really demeaning ways during the early part of her career. But I would just love to see her open up and have an unguarded, not divulging all her personal information, but just a real interview that she didn't necessarily control 100%. I think that would be great.
I was listening, so I don't have an answer.
You're a very active listener.
I am trying. I was like, just listen, stop thinking of the person.
You need two people. Sorry,
Oh,
Abbi.
two people, right. It's two people. The one person can't talk to themselves. Okay. All right, here we go.
The pressure.
Okay,
of a
I would
name.
like to hear Greta
Yes.
Thunberg, right?
Wait, Greta, which one?
You know who, and I was not
Okay.
on purpose trying to
Thunberg.
not. Yeah,
Yeah.
Thunberg. That's it. I was like, Thunberg. I would like to hear her and Barack Obama.
Oh.
Is that bad?
No.
I don't know why. I want him back around, and I want like a really I just want someone that knows how policy could be changed, and her, who is like this wildly inspiring young person. I want to like a back and forth.
Yeah, I think that would be
Because I feel like I always hear her, just her.
Yeah.
Or who else would be good with her, guys? If not
No,
for
there's
Barack
nothing-
Obama, sorry!
No, I think
Him out. He's a bad...
he's a great guy, but I think a lot of
Should it be a
people might
woman?
be a little tense about him because the other day he was like,
no.
for the 2020 election, people shouldn't be focused on the far left, which is like healthcare for everyone.
I can't keep track of... I can't... Wait,
But he's still good. I still admire him, et cetera, et cetera. I think that's a good
who would
combination.
be best with her then?
I think a scientist. But I don't know anyone who works in Bill
Nye.
Why not? Bill Nye the Science Guy is amazing.
Yeah.
No, but I think
Maybe like one of the guys from Big Bang.
Neil
Yeah, be good.
not Neil. Neil's a
No,
bad,
he's
bad boy.
Is he bad?
I know about that one.
Okay, sorry.
It's hard.
I was just
Actually,
thinking of famous
I would
scientists.
put Greta in conversation, even though it's not about policy, with one of the Parkland survivors,
Ooh, yeah.
like Emma Gonzalez. These young
That would be
people are
fascinating,
kicking
yeah.
me in the ass every
Yeah.
day. Like every day, I'm just like, look what these kids are doing. Get off your ass and go do something.
I know.
So let's all vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On that note, thank you both for being here, and thanks so much.
Thank you guys so much for coming.